asked if you wanted to see a video about how I completed champ training events, and you responded with a resounding yes. So that is what today's video is about, because we have a timer on this one, 3 days and 12 hours. However, I know there are a lot of other topics to talk about right now. You may have expected a shard pull video, but my shard pull videos have moved from Friday to Sunday in most cases. So that's probably when you can find me pulling ancient shards. However, there's another huge topic to talk about, which is the mix, the confluence of this Titan event that is just started today with the Fusion event that is going on. And as you can see in this champion training event, we have both rewards. We've got the champion for the Fusion, and we've got the demon points for the Titan event. So we have to talk about that. There's a lot to discuss. There's been inflation that's been ongoing with these events. There's also a lot of inefficiency. Plarium is up to its old tricks. And then, of course, we have to create a no-fail Titan plan for those of you going for the 5-star soul as well. So all of that is likely to happen tomorrow. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button so you can get updates when those important videos drop. And yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend, but I hope you stick around for all of it. And like I said, in this one, we are covering champ training. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get started. There are several considerations when putting together your personal champion training method. And what I'm going to show you in today's video is my method that I've adapted from the widely utilized community method. So there is a very popular community method that's been used for years and years. I don't know that any one person invented it. I just think the community kind of came together and was like, yeah, this makes sense. And then content creators promoted their versions of it, and then people adapted what they liked. So that's probably what's going to happen today. You're going to see some things that you like, maybe some things that you would do slightly differently. And that's going to depend on several factors: how much time you spend in the game, how many resources you have, whether you spend money, what is your bottleneck? Do you have enough brews? Do you have a lot of energy? Do you have a lot of time? Do you use RSL helper or not? All of those factors may change the way you actually approach your particular champion training method. So just use this as a jumping off point. If you really like my method, feel free to copy it wholesale. It works. It's very efficient. And I find that, I have it pretty much memorized. So some of these things that I'm going to tell you today, I actually had to go back and manually reconstruct, because I haven't thought about the numbers in a really long time, because I just know that it works. But yeah, so we're going to start by talking about the things that you need in order to complete a champion training. Now, first of all, it's going to be a mix, right? You can use energy and you can use brews. Now, you can use 100% energy, or you could use 100% brews. That's really up to you. You can use some mix of the two. I'm going to be using a mix of the two. And I can actually change that mix depending on how much time I have. So brews are faster, energy's slower. And if I'm running really behind and I want to quickly complete a champion training event, I will use more brews. If I am, planning well ahead of the event, like today, we got more than 3 days left, I could use more energy if I have extra energy, especially if you happen to come into your daily login rewards like I did the last few days. I got 400 energy here. I got 300 energy here. So it's if you get chunks of energy for whatever reason, and you want to burn through them a little bit faster, and maybe you've already done the dungeon tournament, you don't want to put more energy into that, or whatever, there's no dungeon tournament going on or something, then you go ahead and put it into campaign, and you can burn through it relatively quickly, and that means you're going to use fewer brews. But whether you're using energy or brews to level up champions and get that experience into your roster, you are going to need champions. So as you can see here, I have 320 champions in my roster, 316 of them are full, or 320 spots, that's what I got, and 316 of them are full. So I have filled up my roster with 1- and 2-star and 3-star champions. So if I go all the way to the bottom here, you can see I've got a ton of 1-star champions and 2-star champions ready to go and get XP. I've got some that are already maxed out. You can see some 2-star champions at 20. I've got a bunch of 3-star champions. 3-star champions are actually kind of key. You really want to have a lot of 3-star champions. Otherwise, it's going to slow you down to build your own 3-star champions. So I have a lot of 3-star champions, including right? The fusion rare here. So I'm going to be using the fusion rare to get some points in champion training. And then I also have the champion chase that is going on. So I'm going to fuse these guys into the epics, and then I can go ahead and put more experience into the epics. And that's going to be just an extra double dip or triple dip or whatever you want to call it, but another way to get more bang for your resources. And then, as you can see, I've got a bunch of level 30 3-star chickens just waiting to be promoted. And then I've also got a bunch of 4-star champions. Now, all of these, I think, yeah, all of the ones that I've got here are chicken champions. That may not be the case for you depending on how advanced your account is. So one of the things that I can do is I can avoid the need to make my own 4-star champions, right? I'm not promoting 3-star champions to 4-star and then running them up to level 40. I don't do that very much anymore. I can if I need to, and I'll show you how I do that. But in general, I am taking all of the, extra epic champions that I pull, and I'm turning them into 4-star chickens. There are different ways I do that. I'm going to show you both methods. So whether or not you have to create your own 4-star chickens or you have 4-star chickens sitting there, I'll show you what I do in both cases. And then, we can turn those into 5-star chickens. We can also talk about the 5-star champions that you're leveling up. That's a very small part of the actual method, but sometimes you can get some fast points there. And then as you can see, I have these 5-star chickens waiting to promote a 6-star champion. We'll also talk about that. So there are a lot of moving parts, but it starts at the bottom, right? With building 1-stars up to 2-stars, building 2s up to 3s, and 3s up to 4s. That's really your foundation. Your foundation is these small champions, these less rare champions, right? So you need a lot of those. As you can see, I have a lot of 3-star champions. And I guess I'll basically just walk you through what I'm doing here. I use 1-star champions to create 2-star chickens, generally. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to level these up. I'm going to promote them, and I'm going to turn them into 2-star chickens. I'm going to level up my 2-star champions to level 20 and turn them into 3-star chickens. And then I'm going to take my rares and I'm going to level them up and turn them into 4-star chickens. So each rarity will be promoting the rarity above it, but I also use brews in order to get extra points. And so we're going to talk about that method in just a moment. Now, for my 4-stars, what I primarily do for the epics, I do a couple of things. Now, we can talk about the Guardian Ring. I do like to have 3-star champions and 4-star champions here, right? So I want to get my chickens ahead of time when possible, especially my level 40s. But also, if you're behind on level 30s, you want to get those going. So have your Guardian Ring pumping all of the time. Yes, I want to open all of my Guardian Rings. As you can see, this one is slot level 3. The rest are slot level 2 out of 3. Actually, you don't even need these. You just need level 1. If you have level 1 all the way across, that's the most efficient in terms of your gem purchases. But if you're deep into the game, if you're end game or late game and you want to get a little bit more speed out of these, you can go ahead and upgrade the slot levels. I don't know if I'll ever go to slot level 3 because it's not an efficient use of gems, but it would speed up my 6-star production. So this is one thing that, again, you can't do today, right? You can't do today, but you want to be on top of. And the more efficient you are with this, the better off it is. Like the more often you log in and click these, the better off you are. But just be aware that, this is part of this process. It's just one of the things that you have to do ahead of time. In addition, I do run solo champions in dungeons or even duo champions in dungeons when I can. So for instance, I have a solo champion for stage 10 of Spider hard mode. This is Eric's. She's a free champion. You get right around the 2-year mark, I believe. Might be a little bit before, a little bit after the 2-year mark. And she can solo Spider 10 hard mode. All right, there's a particular build. I've done a video on this. I did it just a few months ago. You can go and check that out if you want. And as you can see, I have epics, trash epics here for me. These are all extra epics or epics I'm not interested in building. And I run them in Spider with Eric's whenever I run Spider. And this is how I get my level 40s to level 40. And, you know, this is something where, let's say there's a fusion event going on like right now, and there isn't an event dungeon. Because if there's an event dungeon on, I'm putting all my extra energy into the event dungeon. But if there isn't an event dungeon, anytime I've just completed the tournament, let's say I've completed Ice Golem tournament and I still have dungeon diving to go, I'll just go here to the spider's den and I'll overspend on the spider. Because this is where I can get a lot of silver, and it's really efficient for me because I have a great solo champion that can do hard 10. Now, even if you're just soloing, say, level 20, that's a great place to farm during dungeon tournaments and get extra, you know, XP onto your champions. It doesn't take as long as you might think to level these guys up. So with the 2,000 energy that I might run, say, for a spider tournament, I will definitely max out more than one set of these 4-star champions. I don't know how many. I don't really keep track of this because I don't care. I don't care. This is all bonus. This is all extra. And all I do here is when I do multi-battles, I just make sure to leave this unclicked. Continue multi-battle even when all champions hit max level. So by turning that off, basically when those guys hit 40, the auto battles will just stop, and then I can swap them out and put in new champions. Now, some people have talked about this queue. You can do this queue where you will just go ahead and pull the other champions out. Like once they're maxed, they'll get pulled out, and then you could create a queue and you can say, I'm going to just, put all these in and just keep it running. You can certainly do that if you have a solo champion. I don't know if that works with duo teams. I don't think it does. I think what'll happen is it'll pull out your duo. So, but if you have a solo champion in the leader spot, you can certainly use that queue, and that is how that works. So basically, what'll happen is this will be the first champion that'll get swapped in. So it's like, okay, I've got 4 champions. When they hit max level, they'll get swapped out, and I'll say, okay, I want to do these 4, and then I want to do these 4, and then I want to do these 4, and I'll just, put in, I think you can do up to 20, and once you hit 20, it won't go anymore, right? So that's your full queue. And then again, even if you're using that, there you want to make sure you put this on. When the queue is done, it should end. But again, I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know if I've ever done it completely that way. This is sort of an older option that people used in campaigns sometimes. It's a little bit less efficient in terms of energy because it will always take your champion. Like if you only need 1,000 extra energy, but a run is 10,000 energy, it'll still, not 10,000. If you need 1,000 extra XP, but a run is 10,000 XP, it'll just run that extra run and you'll lose that 9,000 bonus XP. But you don't have to stop, right? It's just more time efficient, and you don't have to pay attention to it. So this is another thing that you can do ahead of time, or you could even do today. So for instance, we have a dragon tournament that is going on right now. So if you can run, let's say, stage 20 with a solo or a duo champion, which I certainly can. So I could say, okay, I'm going to pull this team out. I'm going to do a nice simple duo. Where's my Sill of the Drakes? There she is. I'm going to do this as my duo. And then I can put in 3 food champions. All right, you can just go boom, boom, boom. They could be 3 stars, 2 stars, whatever you want. Just be aware that you want to pay attention to when these guys max out so you don't waste a lot of XP, right? So, I might do something like 5 runs or 10 super raids or something, and then check on it, and then kind of learn where I need to cut it off for my 3-star, my 4-star champions, my 2-star champions, whatever it happens to be. But this is a great way to add a dip right to your fusion process. So you're doing the dragon tournament, you're doing the dungeon divers, you're doing the champion training, and you're getting the rewards from the dungeon. So that's at least a quad dip. That's a really nice, efficient way to add benefit to your account for your spend, your energy spend. But again, all of this for me mostly happens all the time. This is not something that I do specifically during champion training, unless it happens to be this kind of quad dip situation that we're talking about. So I will probably, I can't run hard dragon with a solo champion. I don't have a solo champion for that, although I have them on my roster. I just don't have the gear. I don't quite have them set up. So I'll probably run dragon 20 with a solo champion. My Venom Mage does quite well. So does my Corvus. So does my Artak. So I can run dragon 20s with those champions, and then just run 4 food champions. and that will get me a lot of extra points here. And the thing about it is the points that you're adding in champion training are not actually a ton. Like initially, you have to remember that if we go to the champion training event and we go here to the info, right? Like your level upgrades are relatively low points. They're not huge. It's accumulative. It takes a while to put it all together. But so, for instance, like if I put those 3-star champions in and I leveled them up to 30, let's say I was doing that with a solo champion, so I got 4 of them. That means I'm getting 29 levels because you start level 1, not level 0. So you get 29 levels times 4 is what, 116, something like that. And, you know, that's times 2. So that's 232 points, right? That's not a ton of points when you need 7,750 points to get these demon points here. But then you also have your promotions, right? Then each of those 3-star champions is getting promoted. So you're getting another 60 points. Then you're going to put brews on those champions to get yet more levels, and that's going to give you more points. So rather than getting whatever we said, you know, the 216 points, whatever it was, we're going to get another 200 points or so. We may even get more than we got just from leveling these champions up. And so that brings us to, well, let's go ahead and look at campaign. Let's go ahead and look at campaign because I want to walk through this before I get into the brews. And this is just my method for campaign. So whoever your campaign farmer is, it's entirely up to you. I use Bellower. It's about a 7-second run. It's a slow 7-second run, I think. You know, there's fast, it depends on when the timer clicks, but this is, so it's about an 8-second run. So I want to talk about what I do here. And again, remember, I turn 1-stars into 2-star chickens. So I'm going to walk you through that first, and then we'll do 2 stars, and then we'll do 3 stars and 4 stars. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in some 3-star champions. I'm sorry, some 1-star champions. It doesn't matter who. I'm going to do a super raid. This is on Brutal, stage 12-3. This is where we do our campaign farming. So we're going to do this once. And this is going to bring these champions up to like level 7 or 8. But you want to remember that each level takes more experience than the previous level, right? So this is saying I'm getting 1 point. This is because this shows tournament points, not event points. So the event points are actually in the background. You don't see the event points. So this is the tournament point for dungeon divers, I think. Okay, so this gets us up to level 8. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to drop down to hard. For 1-star champions, you want to drop down to hard, go to 12-3 again, and then unclick super raids. You need 1 normal run of 12-3 hard, okay? This is going to max out these 1-star champions. And then, in order to minimize the number of clicks and be time efficient, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the team and I'm going to put in more 1-star chickens. Okay? And I'm just going to run them through once. Again, I didn't have to do any additional clicks. I didn't have to change anything. They're just repeating what the previous team did. And then when I'm done here, I go to edit team. I'm sorry, I jump out here and we go back to Brutal. We click the super raids and we do that. So you go, you know, the super raids on Brutal down to a regular run on normal. On hard. And then you do another hard and then you go back. So rather than going back and forth, you do, you know, upper, lower, lower, upper, upper, lower, lower, upper. That's just a little bit faster, more efficient in terms of clicks. And I do all of this manually. I do all of this manually because I want to be really energy efficient. It doesn't take very long. I can do 50 of these or 60 of these in like 5 minutes. It takes no time. These are the least like tricky. These are so simple. You can see, you know, you have a quick farm time. So 6 seconds here. It's really 7 seconds, I guess. So not 8 seconds, but at 7 seconds, I can do these. I mean, in a couple of minutes, I can do dozens of these easily. So I'm just going to do another set. Now, one of the things that you want to remember is that each set that you do will promote one and like, so if you do 6, right? If you do upper, lower, lower, upper, you get 6 of these done. And 6 of them will promote 3 2-star chickens. So if you do 1 set of 2 stars, your 2 sets of 1 stars will promote them. It sounds weirder than it is, but literally, like, I'm like, okay, I've done this. So I'm going to go down to hard, do the 12-3 hard. So I'm getting 3 of these from this half of the rotation, right? And it's just basically 2 runs a campaign. And then I'm going to do 2 more runs a campaign. And I'm going to start with the lower run. Again, 6 energy here. And then I'm going to go to the upper run. Now, you don't have to use 1 stars at all. You can actually completely consume them in the tavern if you want. But this is really fast and relatively efficient. And it also removes the headache, to me, of needing to come up with 2-star chickens. Because in the tavern, it actually takes longer to come up with 2-star chickens than it does in campaign. So this back and forth will create 6 2-star chickens. That is enough to promote 3 2 stars up to 3 stars, right? So, okay, so I've done that. So I've done that a few times. So now let's go ahead and do some 2 stars. 2 stars take a little bit longer, but there's also a method for this. So what I like to do just personally is I do 1 of each affinity just to try to keep my brews relatively even. And I'm going to start on brutal. I'm going to do super raids, and I'm just going to do 4 of these. So let me go ahead and use multi-battles just this time so that, and yeah, gear selling filter should be on. It'll just be faster, so I can talk to you while we do this. So in campaign, I spend energy on 1-star champions, on 2-star champions, and on 3-star champions. I don't spend campaign energy on 4-star champions very often. You can. If you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of time, you use RSL Helper, you can do a lot of this stuff while you sleep overnight. Like, then you can go ahead and put energy into 4-star champions. Like I said, I do my 4-star champions in Spider or in like Dragon with a solo champion. That's generally how I level up my champions to 40. So, you know, this is where the individual decisions are going to come in. And again, that is going to depend. Like, if you have the raid passes, you know, that give you extra XP per energy and stuff like that, you might want to run more campaign and use fewer brews because that's actually going to be more efficient in your overall resource usage, right? Okay, so I'm getting them to level 18 plus, right? Like pretty high level 18. So I don't want to run another run here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use a regular run. That's going to get me to level 19. And now after this run, I'm going to have 2 choices. I've done both of these methods. And again, this is where you want to be taking notes. Both of these methods worked right just fine. You can see where these are like mostly done, right? Each one will take 2 level 1 champions, like not level 1 leveled champions. I guess I'll just show you in the tavern. So if I go here I take one of these level 19 campaign champions, I can just put in 2 level 1 champions. I'm sorry, it's 3. I guess it's 3. And that maxes them out. So I could do that. I could do that if I wanted, if I had a lot of extra 1 stars and I wanted to just like clear out my roster, I could go ahead and do this. This is one of the ways that I actually do that daily quest where it's like promote a champion 3 levels in the tavern. Like, this is how I do that. I don't promote 1 champion 3 levels. I usually promote 3 champions 1 level each. So usually I have some level 19s or some level 29 sitting around and I do that. But if you stay in campaign, the easier thing to do, what I usually do, is I do a similar cycle to what I was doing with the 1 stars. I go back down. In this case, I go to normal. I go to normal 12-3. And for 4 energy, I max them out. Now, this is a little bit less efficient than the 1 stars because you have some wasted XP here, but it's not a lot. And it does, you know, still save you a lot of energy, keep you pretty efficient. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did here which is I'm going to swap out another set of 2 stars. And then on the way back, I'm going to, I'm going to get these leveled up. So I start with the 4 energy run. And then remember, when you go back to Brutal, you're going to do 1 run that's not a super raid. Okay, so I'm going to go to stage selection, go up to Brutal, 12-3, and I just want to run 1 8 energy run here. And then I'm going to run 4 super raids at 12-3 Brutal. So here you go, edit team, super raids, and I'm just going to click 4 multi-battles. And this is extremely efficient. This is really, really close. So this is, this is a good system for this. So we have our 1-star loop, right? Our 1-star loop is 1 super raid at 12-3 Brutal, down to 1 regular run on hard 12-3, and then we do a hard 12-3 with the new set and come back up to Brutal, 12-3 Brutal super raid, and then you get a nice set of 6 1-stars that are maxed out. And then we have this loop here with the 2-star champions, which is 4 runs at 12-3 Brutal super raids, and then 1 normal run, not a super raid, and then we go down to normal, a 4 energy run. We swap them out. We do a 4 energy run, come back up, do an 8 energy run at 12-3 Brutal, and then 4 super raids, and we're maxed out at 20. And that's just a perfect little system. And I do all of this manually. Again, if you use RSL Helper, it's going to be a little bit different. If you just hate running campaign manually, like, I get it, but you don't have to do a ton of this. This is relatively fast. I can basically spend somewhere in the vicinity of like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, just making 1 and 2-star chicken, or, 1 stars to 10, 2 stars to 20, then go in the tavern and promote all of them. Yeah, I like to do some of this ahead of time. Again, it might be the kind of thing where I'll end one champion training event doing a lot of this, and then I'll just put these in the vault, and then the next champion training, I'll pull them out and, or I don't even have to pull them out, but I'll just consume them in the tavern and then see how much more campaign I need to grind. Okay, so now let's talk about 3-star champions in campaign. So again, I like to, just personally, this is my personal little thing, I like to put 1 of each affinity in, again, so that I'm keeping my brews relatively balanced. But if I have like a larger stockpile of 1 affinity brew, I'll put in more of those champions. Over time, it kind of balances out. But so here, this is where I'll actually use my multi-battles. I use my multi-battles on the 3-star champions because this takes 11 super raids. Okay. Now, after the 11 super raids, I'm not going to run it here. I'm not going to make you watch it. But so I would do 11 super raids, and this, won't take long. Again, this will take somewhere in the vicinity of 2 minutes to do 1 set of 3-star champions. It'll take about 2 minutes if you're using multi-battles. Again, you could do it manually. It's not that problematic. I will often do them manually if I don't have enough multi-battles, because I use the multi-battles in the dungeons. I would prefer to use them in the dungeons where it's a longer run and I can like disappear for an hour and a half and go do something with my son or take the dog for a walk or whatever. But here, literally, if you were manualing this, I don't think it would, again, take you maybe more than 2 minutes. Take you about 2.5 minutes to do a full set of 3-star champions. So this is 11 super battles and then 1 regular battle, all at 12-3 Brutal. You don't have to go anywhere else. At the end of that, you'll be left with a tiny little bit of XP that, they'll be at level 29. They won't be at level 30. There's a little tiny window. It is less than you would get for a normal run, so I don't use energy there. What I do basically is I just come back into the tavern, and like I was telling you before, I would just go ahead and throw 2, and this is actually only 2 of these 1-star champions into that 3-star champion, and that would max it out to 30. Okay, so 11 super raids, 1 non-super raid at 12-3 Brutal, and then 2 1-star champions here in the tavern. Now that gets you your level 10 champions, your level 20 champions, and your level 30 champions, but now you need to upgrade them, right? So as you'll notice, This is where you need a lot of these extra champions. So again, you want to have a decent amount of mystery shards. Mystery shards will get you some 3-star chickens, which is nice. But I also save a lot of my 3-star chickens. I want to make sure that I have those. If I have to make my 3 stars, like if I have to turn an uncommon into a 3-star and level it up, it doesn't change anything. It just means I need more uncommon champions, right? I need more green champions. I need more of these guys because I'm going to use more of them. But I basically, save all of my champions in such a way that I never really have a problem with 3-star chickens. And if I do, I just do a 10 pull of ancient shards because I don't really care that much. Or I wait for like a 2 times ancient shard event like we have going on right now. And that can get me more chickens. So we're just going to go ahead and do this batch. Now we're going to start talking about what we do with brews. So here I've got my 2-star chickens. All right, now let's turn some of these 20s into 3-star chickens. So I'm just going to make whatever this batch is. Now, when I get to 3 stars, what I like to do here is I'm going to go to upgrade level. I'm going to grab some brews, and I want you to notice something. So this first brew gives me 10 levels. The second brew gives me 5 more levels. The third brew gives me 3 levels. The fourth brew gives me 2 levels. So I'm getting points for each level. I'm not getting a lot of points, right? So I want to make sure that I'm not overspending on brews. If I'm going to spend more brews, the points per brew matter is what I'm trying to say. You really want to get the maximum points per brew. Now here you're not going to see it because it's not a champion training tournament. It's a champion training event. So the point total isn't going to pop up. But I go to level 15. So I just put in 2 brews on these 3-star chickens. And that would be true for any champion I'm consuming, right? Any champion that's a chicken that's going to be consumed at 3 stars. So it doesn't matter if it's an uncommon or a common or a rare. It doesn't matter. They all get the same treatment. They get level 15. That's where I eat them up. Now that level 15, again, if we go to the events and we look at the points, right? This level 15, I've gotten 14 promotions, right? Because you start at level 1. This is a 3-star chicken at this point. So I get 2 points per level. So those 2 brews have got me 28 points. Now, if I get 28 points on every single 3-star chicken I consume over the course of this, that's going to be several hundred, if not a couple of thousand extra points of champion training. Now, something to keep in mind here is I'm getting 14 points per brew, if I want to think of it. 28 points, 2 brews, 14 points per brew. That is the minimum number of points I will accept for a brew at any point. So I don't put brews into 1-star champions. Because if I put a brew into a 1-star champion, again, remember a 1-star champion, the promotions, or a 2-star champion, you only get 1 point per level. So if I come in here and I see, well, I want to like level this up and, get a 2-star chicken. If I do this, I get 9 points here. I get actually 8. I get 8 promotions. I get 8 points per brew by doing this. That feels inefficient to me. What I want overall is I want to run my champion training in such a way that over time, my brew totals climb, right? So if I have 2,567 blue brews at the beginning of this event, I'm going to end lower. But by the next time I'm doing champion training, I want about 2,700 brews. Like I want my totals to constantly climb, not constantly fall. And there's a reason for that. It's because once a year or maybe twice a year as a free-to-play player, there will be a champion training tournament with a reward I want. There'll be a free champion or a champ soul or a big soul stone or something where I'm like, I can maybe go for that. And so I play small and I wait. And if my champion training tournament isn't overwhelmingly spendy, I can then go and burst a champion training tournament with all of the brews that I've saved. If I'm going in the other direction where I'm constantly eating away at my brews, then eventually I'm going to get to 0 and I'm never going to be able to do that, right? So this is just the way I play. Again, if time is more important to you, then spend your brews. It'll get you faster completion of the events. and then you don't have to spend so much time in campaign. But like I said, if you look at what I spend in campaign, it's not that much time. Like 1 stars, 2 stars, and 3 stars, you can run a lot of those up in just like half an hour, maybe even, you know, if you spend 1 hour once a week, you know, in the champion training, if there's a champion training once a week, like that's not a lot of time. It's pretty easy to burn through a lot of energy there in champion training and level up a bunch of chickens. So again, my number is 14 points per brew. So now, like, if I look at, say, a 4-star champion, actually, let's promote a couple more of these, and we'll do this a couple more times. So 2 brews here, and do this one, and we'll do 2 brews there. And again, I'm getting 28 points for each of these. Now I'm going to take those 3 champions. I'm going to throw that into a 3-star. So I'm going to take a 3-star. I'm going to go ahead and look for those level 15 champions here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to promote this one. So I get the promotion points here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to throw 2 brews in. But you'll notice the 2 brews come up just shy of level 15. I'm going to throw in 1 1-star champion. And this is going to get me, again, the same 14 levels that I just got on the 3-star. Right? I'm going to get here on the 4-star another 14 promotions. And again, if we go to the event totals are here. I think it's 3 points. It's 3 points. So those 2 brews and 1 little 1-star champion got me 52 points for those 2 brews. 52, 14 times 3 is 52. 42. Sorry, 42. So 42 points. Divide that in half. That's 21 points per brew. So I was getting 14 on the 3 stars. Here I'm getting 21 points per brew. And so it's better, right? It's better there. Let's go ahead and try to be efficient here and get those points. Okay. So now let's say I need to make a 5-star chicken. Okay. So first of all, remember, the first thing I said is I have a bunch of these champions running up all the time in my spiders tournaments and stuff like that with my solo champion, in my dungeon dragons tournaments with my solo dragon champion. I have a duo for high level ice golem. So I have a duo for stage 10 hard mode of ice golem. Actually, I have a solo champion now. I just made a solo champion like last week. I'm sorry. So I have a solo champion for ice golem 10 hard mode. But even if you're doing Ice Golem 20 with a solo champion or a duo champion or a trio, like, just make some space for food and you can level up these 40s. But let's say I didn't have enough 40s. I could go ahead and just take any, like this one. All right. And I'm going to max her out with brews. Now here you'll notice this is 24 brews. I don't want to do this a lot. Obviously, I could do this 100 times and still have some brews. I don't want to do that. I want to do this like maybe 2 or 3, 4 times. I don't want to do that a ton. But one of the things that you want to know is how much a brew actually gives you. So if you look here at the bar down below, right? If you use 1 brew, just put it into the inventory spot here. You'll notice that's 18,750. So that's how many XP points you get from 1 brew. So if you max out, click max button, right? And then go backwards, 1. You want to see how close you are, right? So you'll notice this is 20,000 out of 38,000. So this is almost 18,000 points. So this last brew is totally worth putting in here because it's very efficient. You're using like 90% of this brew, right? That's good. That's good. You don't want to be using 30% of a brew. You don't want to be using 5% of a brew. But if you're using, 80, 90% of a brew to max out, then that's really efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I've got my level 40, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and upgrade her using the level 15 champions that I've made. Let me go and make a couple more of these so that I have 4 of them, because that's what I want to do. So I have to start all the way at the bottom, right? I have to start all the way at the bottom, work my way up. But I think what we're going to do today is we're just going to speed through this. So I don't know if I have got some level 15s, and then I'll just do chickens. This is also what I save chickens for. But again, I want all these points. I'm going to do this. I need to make 1 more. It's got to be all chickens, unfortunately. But But as you can see, I save chickens for stuff like this. Again, if I ever want to burst a champion training, I'm going to need a lot of chickens. Okay, so now I've got my chickens for my 4-star. Now I'm going to take my 4-star Thylacia, and I'm going to go ahead and consume these 4 rare 4-star chickens that I put points onto. Sacrifice. Now, the first thing I'm going to do when I know I'm making her a chicken is I'm going to unlock her here. You can unlock her right in the tavern. That way, she's going to pop up when you're looking for chickens. Because if you have her locked, she's going to be grayed out. You don't want her grayed out. So unlock her. Then I'm going to go to upgrade level, right? And I want to put some points onto her. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is the number of brews I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do 1 1-star champion. And this is going to give me 23 levels for 5 brews. So now let's go check out how many points we got there. Again, 5 brews. And this was a 5-star champion. So if I look down here, a 5-star champion gets 6 points per level. What did I get? I got 22 promotions. So 132 points. 132 points for 5 brews. So there I'm at what? About 27 points per brew. So I started at 14, moved my way up to 21. Now I'm somewhere around 27. And again, this is just a chicken. So she's going to be turned into food as well. So now what I want to try to do, let's see, I'm going to have to do this from my Master Vault, is I'm going to try to make a new 6-star champion. Now, for me personally, right now, I'm focused on Centranos. And I have to try to remember which champions are particularly useful in Centranos. Yeah, so I don't like leveling up legendaries doesn't always help me that much, even if they're good champions. That's why you see champions like Kandrafon who haven't been 6-starred yet, because I don't have the books for them. But okay, so now I can go down to the bottom here and you'll see these are all of my epic chickens that I made. Remember that I unlocked them, right? That's why I can see them. Otherwise, if they were locked, they would be grayed out like this and I wouldn't be able to easily identify them. And so I'm just going to go ahead and now grab these chickens and I'm going to turn this guy into a 6-star. All right, and I'm going to get the promotion points for that, which are really nice. I'm going to go ahead and ascend him. Why not? Let's just get him there right now. And then if I wanted to, I could put some levels on this guy. And I would probably do the same thing that I did for the level 5, which is I'd probably put 5 brews in and get him to level 22. Or sometimes I go for 7 brews and I go to level 26. And the reason why I like to go to a different level than the 5-star champions is just so visually I can see them. So when I see level 23 champions, right, 5-star, that means they're 5 stars. If I see a level 22 or level 26 champion, that means they're 6 stars. And obviously they need to have all the stuff put on them. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put levels on this guy right now because I haven't run him in Minotaur at all. And so as a result, I want most of the levels to come from Minotaur. That's just more efficient. So I'm not going to put on any here right now. But if I needed the points for the champion trading, that's what I would do. I'd bring them up either to 22 or 26. And in each case, the number of points per brew is going to be over 14. And that's basically what I'm looking for, right? That's the minimum number of points I ever want on the brews. One other thing is if you get a natural 5-star, so if you get a legendary that is just a 5-star, right? And you're either, let's say it's a duplicate and you're just making them a vault guardian, you know, you're just putting them in the guardian ring and they're a faction guardian and they're going to stay in the vault. I like to level them up to 23 as if they were food champions. I will then put them in the vault to make sure, like I don't use legendaries as chickens anyway, it doesn't matter. But so like I have this extra Freya here who I could just go ahead and put 5 brews and 1 thing on, and that would get her to 23. And so often when I get a duplicate legendary, I just hold on to them until there's a champion training tournament. And this gets me a few hundred points, which is really nice because it's basically something I don't have to work for. This literally takes 10 seconds to get these few hundred points. And as you can see, just in terms of the time I've spent on the video here, if we go ahead for the event, I was basically at no points. I don't know if I was exactly at no points. I probably had a few points here. I've picked up, you know, say 1,500 points. 1,500 points using a few hundred energy and some brews. And that's it. So I need to do this same amount of work about 5 times. Now, this video is going to be about 45 minutes, although what I was actually doing was explaining all of this. So the amount of time I spent doing this was probably, say, half that. Maybe it was 20 minutes, 25 minutes, which means if I had to do that 5 times, like I said, somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half is typically what it takes me to complete an entire champion training event if I have some of those chickens set up from my solo champions from dungeons. If I have to do it all from scratch and I'm doing it with energy, it might take a little bit longer, maybe closer to 2 hours. If I was using more brews because I had to do it fast, I've done a full champion training in like 35 minutes before. Just 100% brews, just cruising and just pulling like mystery shards and ancient shards and boom, boom, boom. Like I forgot to do it and I just needed to get it done. I've done it in like 35 minutes. So you can definitely do this fast. You can do this slow. You can do this with more energy. You can do it with more brews. You can do it with more solo champions. But it's probably going to be a mix of all of those. And again, the number of runs that I was doing in campaign, you can change that. The way I was putting brews on champions, you can change that. That is all up to you. But if you want to copy my method, like I said, it's nice and efficient in terms of energy, in terms of brews, in terms of time, because as a free-to-play player, all 3 of those resources are important to me. And so I wanted a very balanced system. And so there it is. I hope this was helpful to all of you out there. Please, if you have any tweaks in your method that you think maybe improve efficiency for one way or another, put those in the comments. Don't be afraid to explain it a little bit. Make sure that the readers are going to understand exactly what you mean. That may take a little bit of detail, or come hang out in the Discord and put your method up in one of the channels that we have for discussing those kinds of things, advice on, leveling up champions. And if you hated this, let me know too. All right, that is it for me today. Thanks so much for hanging out. Remember, I will be back with many more videos this weekend. We got a lot to talk about. So once again, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, I forgot to ask before, but if you would like this video, I would appreciate it. That'd be fantastic. Thanks so much. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.